Do you remember the first time you played Terraria? Because I sure do, and wow, it was a roller coaster. You see, Terraria is a very complicated game with lots of items and mechanics. And when I first played, I had no idea what I was doing. And that's why, in this video, I'm going to show you the basics of Terraria. And how you can learn how to play even if you're an absolute noob. Or even if you're not, and you've beat the game on the hardest difficulty, you can still be here to have a fun time. The first stage in Terraria is obviously making your character. You can customize your character however you'd like. Just make sure to put it on the classic difficulty. Any others would either be too easy or too hard for you to enjoy. Once you're done customizing, hit the create button to start moving on to the world. Now, personally, I like to match my character name with my world name so it's easier to pair them together. If you only have one of each, it doesn't really matter. For new players, I would recommend a small world on classic difficulty, and because you're new, you won't get the option to choose between corruption and crimson, so it'll just be random. You can immediately tell what you got by looking at the loading bar. If it's purple, you got corruption. If it's red, then you got crimson. Now, once you actually get into the game, it can be very overwhelming. First of all, I recommend turning your zoom to about 100%. This gives you the maximum vision of the world around you. Then, if it's not on already, turn on auto fire. It basically means that you can hold down your weapons instead of constantly clicking to use them. First off, you want to start by breaking some trees. This allows you to get wood, which can be turned into a crafting bench. Then you can get armor and other weapons. It can take quite some time early game to get enough wood to do all this, but it is a necessary precaution to make sure that you don't die. Then we're going to get ourselves a crafting station, which allows us to craft all sorts of items, but we're only going to be looking at the armor, as it ensures our survival by giving us some early game defense. Once you've got your armor, you want to pick a direction and start walking till you see some kind of structure or loot. In this case, I found a living tree, which contained a radar. Unfortunately, it didn't have any reforge, which basically gives it an added stat bonus. Then we went down the living tree with no light source, which I don't recommend. I managed to find a living wood and living leaf wand, which are kind of useless. I then began to explore further in that direction, but I soon realised that I could explore deeper into the living tree if I got some torches by killing a slime, getting gel. This is important because the living tree could lead into a cave or connect to the other living tree and potentially have another chest room. And there's also a cool little trick with torches, which I'll show you later. Just make sure you don't leave some torches behind, so that you've always got at least one on you. Luckily enough, this tree actually led into a mine shaft. Mine shafts are a great source of loot. They can lead you into underground houses or underground chests, such as this gold chest that I saw. In the chest, I located the mace, a great early game weapon which can allow you to take down a bunch of enemies that you may encounter. Can also be upgraded very easily into the flaming mace by combining it with 99 torches. Here is an example of me taking down a worm with a mace. Bombs can be useful for quickly gathering resources instead of having to mine it. Be sure to stay far away from them though, as when they explode they can deal some heavy damage. When underground, you are going to be looking for either silver, tungsten, gold or platinum ore. Silver and tungsten are tier 2 ores, while gold and platinum are tier 1. Gold and platinum are superior to silver and tungsten, but you can still get them as they're still very powerful. You should also gather a little bit of iron or lead, as these are needed to craft anvils, but you can also get them from chests anyway, so sometimes it might not be worth mining them. You also want to be on the lookout for gems, such as rubies. This can be useful for crafting a boss summon later in the game. As you can see, I got quite lucky and found a huge platinum vein underground. It's very important not to get lazy and leave ore behind, as you're going to need a lot of ore to craft the armor. Occasionally, when exploring, you might find some traps laid around. These traps are designed to kill you, and can be very easily avoided. If you break one of the dark traps, or pressure plates, it shows the wires when you hold them out. This highlights all of the traps around you, meaning you should never fall for one again if you have one of these. The ores are fairly common, so you should come across plenty when you're down there. Just remember, don't get lazy and mine all the ore you see. If you're lucky, you may come across a glowing mushroom biome. These are a fairly rare biome, but they can spawn with some extremely good loot. Most notably, they are the perfect conditions for life crystals to spawn. Life crystals are a rare item that spawn underground, which increase your maximum health capacity by 20. With enough exploring, you should have came across some good accessories and a suspicious looking eye summon. This summon will allow you to fight your first boss of the game. But first, let's see what equipment we should have. For armor, you should have either a full set of platinum or gold, tungsten or silver, or a mix in between. Don't worry if you have some lead or iron. If you're skilled enough, it is very possible with this armor. For your health, I recommend being over 200. This isn't necessary because I did it with 160, but obviously I am a lot more experienced than you might be. There are lots of options for accessories, but the main ones you want are a cloud in a bottle and Hermes boots. You can also consider going for a band of regen or some climbing claws. Now you've got your accessories in order, it's time to look at your weapons. You may have come across lots of weapons in your journey, but the weapons that you want to be using are the mace and flaming mace, a bunch of different bows, the wand of sparking, or a boomerang. With everything in check, we're finally ready to start the fight. Start off by building a straight line of platforms in your world. This will be your arena. And then, when it turns night time, summon the boss. Even though it might seem stressful, with your new gear, this fight should be a breeze. Boom, just like that, you've defeated your first boss. It's that easy. With your newfound treasures, you can go and craft a new weapon. Well, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.